Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, today is Monday. It's 5 p.m. where I'm at. Don't know where y'all are at, but happy Monday to you. The title of this video is What is Meant to Be Will Be. And there's a song that Elvis Presley did. It's called Que Sera Sera, right? And what that means is what will be, what's meant to be will be, right? And I can't help if you guys don't know the song, it is the intro, and I know all the words to the show from the TV series, right? And when I sing the words to that song, it really has a real meaning to me for me, because I understand like the actual context of what's being said, right? And so the title of this video is What Will Be, Will Be. What is meant to be, will be. And I've learned throughout my life that when you make a decision to have something occur, or you make a decision, regardless of what it is, you make a decision, the entire universe is going to do everything in its power to conspire to help you along that journey and or to achieve that goal. So the reason I'm bringing this up today, and the reason why this lesson just kind of was so prevalent for me, those of you guys who don't know, if you guys have been following me, you guys know that I have been dealing with custody issues, right, regarding my daughter, disagreements in how my daughter's being raised, um, the father figure that acts more like the grandparent than the father figure, right? And me, you guys have watched me go through this journey of striving to get custody of my kid, not because I dislike the father, which again, I have my thoughts and opinions, right? But it's not really animosity because of the dad. It's more like, listen, if you guys cannot do what is required of this child, at least from my parenting perspective, then you need to give her to me. Okay. And I was actually denied. If you guys don't know, I don't have any drug usage. Obviously, I have my own place. Prior to that, I had my own. I was living with a roommate, one roommate. So it wasn't like I had many roommates. I had one roommate for the course of 4 years, right? And we had an additional bedroom in the house, meaning that my daughter, technically speaking, could have come to be in my care. However, I don't know what was the thought process there. I don't know. But apparently Denver felt it more beneficial for my daughter to be in her now dying father, right? Scare. And I'm not trying to be just minimize the circumstance. However, right? Um I was just having this conversation with someone today. First off, for those of you guys who don't know, Karma, I don't even want to say it like that. My daughter's father is going through open heart surgery. That is what he's experiencing right now. And so I am really beginning having to wrap my head around the fact that even though I was told I wasn't going to have my daughter in my custody, right? That I was going to have to jump through hoops and hurdles just to get my daughter, right? Again, not on drugs, not abusive. None of these things have been actually proven to be true, despite any recent allegations made by a white lady, right? Outside of that, and I say that for a reason, so you guys know, like, my daughter's good. She's Gucci when she's with me, and my daughter's father understands that too. And because of the circumstances that are transpiring right now, I am gearing up to have my daughter more time than I really expected to. I wanted my daughter more time. Obviously, that's what I was seeking for, was more time. I wasn't even trying to take her from him, seeking 50-50. And now all of a sudden, things have changed where health begins to decline, which we already knew was going to happen. Hence why I decided to try to go get custody for my daughter. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if my daughter's in my care more than 30 days, I'm going down to the courthouse, we're filing, and listen, they're going to have to fix some shit. They're going to really have to fix some shit. Okay. But I don't mind being the mother there for my kid. Like, I don't mind that, right? I don't mind being a mom to my kid. I never minded that. Now it's just coming up on a time where I feel like my intuition had already told me this was coming. Because believe it or not, open heart surgery is a big deal, right? And I think deep down, my intuition knew this was going to happen. Not only did I know that this was going to happen, but it's very interesting timing because my daughter is beginning to see things with her own opinion and her own clarity, right? Meaning that my daughter and I have gotten a ton closer. Like, we're really close now. And it's crazy how shit is just flip-flopped, right? Overnight, it feels like, right? But I say all this to say I was a mom. I went for custody. You guys know that I have a great career. I have my own shit, right? I've got everything that I feel like I should have in order to be a good mom to my daughter. Okay. And they told me no. Okay. And obviously you're in a time where there are people who believe the child is in the better off with the dad, right, than the mom. Okay. So that's part of the reason why I, for some reason, cannot even get 50% custody, but dad is giving me 50% custody. Do you get what I'm saying? There's going to be a time, and I thought we had a little bit longer than now, where dad is going to have to give me my kid because he can't raise her. And I was this close to making him do that on his own, this close. But something my daughter reminded me of is love is unconditional. And I feel like unconditional love is reserved for children mainly. Okay, as a mom, I understand that no matter what I deal with, I should be there for my kid, right? I should love my kid no matter what. And in the event that something happens to her father, it is really not her fault. It is my job to be there. So, y'all know my reservations about a lot of this because I went from and it was almost to protect myself. I was having this conversation with another mom who understood exactly where I was going through, but she was on the opposite end where she was able to keep her kid, right? And she had to deal with differences with the father or whatever. And I remember telling her, I said, listen, what I had to do, a lot of what I had to do was reverse psychology. And it's very interesting how it worked because I told her, I said, listen, and she's on the opposite end. So understand that she's more like the dad in my situation than anything, but I'm more like the dad in every situation, right? So I told her, I said, listen, I said, my daughter's father made it to where my daughter, anytime she did not get her way, because this is the thing, my daughter is never really held accountable. She is raised like a grandchild, not a child, right? So my parenting tactics are a lot different than my daughter's father's parenting tactics, right? Because he is significantly older than me. And so I'm not a grandma yet, meaning that you ain't gonna get spoiled and get away with everything and anything, right? I'm on your ass because that is my job. I'm your fucking mom, right? And I have a very old school way of parenting. So dad, because he gave birth to 10 kids, I don't know about raising 10 kids, but gave birth to 10 kids, he felt like he knew more than me in this space of parenting. And his thought process was, you know what? Mom needs to, what would this man say? Oh, anytime. So basically, what would happen is anytime I would discipline my kid would play my daughter's father by telling him that, oh, her mom was just so mean to her, right? Like trying to make it sound like I'm just this fucked up mom. I don't know right from wrong, and I don't know how to teach my kid, right? My daughter's father turns around and tells her, well, anytime your mama is being mean to you, call me and I'll come get you. So do you know what when you tell a kid this shit, right? Because this was not something I signed up for. This was something he did to try to make it seem like he was somehow the better parent, right? Every time my daughter got mad at me, I'ma go and tell mom, I'ma go tell daddy, and I'ma have daddy come get me. This was my experience for about a year, year and a half. Okay. And what I eventually did, because what happens in these situations, especially when kids live in two different households, and it's obvious the parents do not or not on the same page, right? The kid is smart enough to know my daddy's gonna give me whatever I want. So if I say this and my dad says I can come home whenever I want, then I'm gonna start playing this. So anytime the child was disciplined, now I'm gonna call daddy because I don't want to be here. And it got to a point where I was so fed up with the shit, I started feeding into it. And the reason being is because at some point, when you know you're dealing with selfish people, okay, and I say selfish for a reason, when you're dealing with selfish individuals, the overall outcome is all about themselves. So, dad's part in this was all about making himself seem like he was the best parent ever. So, you know what mom started doing? Okay, you want to go with your dad? You throwing a temper tantrum? Fine. Go with your daddy. That's fine. Bye-bye. See you later. Sayonara. And her mama, listen, my daughter is a girl. So you gotta understand something. In the time that she went back home to her daddy because she was throwing a fit and she wanted to go home because I was sick of the shit, right? And obviously me telling him, hey, that's really not the right thing to tell the child. All that went over his head. Okay. And he would argue with me because he knows more than me and knows better than me, right? About my own fucking kid, but that's cool. I would start giving him the kid. Okay, she want to come home and you stupid enough to fall for this shit. Take her. How about that? So every time the kid wanted to go home, okay, bye, call your daddy. Have him come get you. This this is how this went for like the last what? What? It's been about a year. And I think what's interesting is because my mouth wasn't working. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, and I really mean it like this, because I don't want to label him as a narcissist, but he definitely has narcissistic tendencies. And when you're dealing with men who are so arrogant, right, that they feel like you can't tell them nothing, you kind of have to give them what they want. So everything that this man said he wanted, I gave to him. I gave to him. Only for that shit to change. So as of the last I would say about the last 4 months, he's beginning, whether he says it or not, he's beginning to understand that, yes, he's old, right? I am the better parent. And I say that because it's not about who's better than, right? But when you're dealing with this significant age gap, technically speaking, I am the better parent. Now, can you provide a roof over her head? Of course, because you already been there, done that. You had a family and you had to do it again and you did it again. So this man is already fully established. That does not make him a good parent. So my kid is about to be with me while this man goes through his surgeries. And the reality of the circumstances, what I told him, I don't mind. Like this is my thing. I'm not gonna rub it in his face, okay, unless he pisses me off, okay? However, I'm going to be there for the kid. But I think when we had this dialogue in front of the child, right? It almost felt, and I'm a Pisces, so I want to say this because my feelings matter, right? As a Pisces, we pick up on shit. We're intuitive about shit, right? That people, I'm not trying to say I'm a psychic, but I damn near can read a situation without having to delve too much into it. I don't know what that was there for. So I've been in these situations without having to delve too much into my situation, right? Or my previous situation or whatever. And I'm realizing that I told you guys this last year. I was realizing even throughout the court process, I had more power than what I understand. My daughter's father, the biggest fear for him is not having to pay child support, which I feel like that is such a low vibrational thought process. It's ridiculous. Okay. Now, when we're fighting for custody, you don't want to give me custody because I'm jealous of their relationship. This is an old ass man. I'm not trying to be dealing with no man that got an open heart surgery. I'm not trying to deal with that shit. Okay. So jealousy for me was never the key. It was always about the child, meaning that you are not age appropriate to have a child. You are not age appropriate to raise a child. When I'm dealing with a child who has an issue with dealing with grades and all that, and for some reason in this kid's head, listen, I'm a pit bull. Okay. My daughter's father is lightweight. My daughter deep down knows that. But what's crazy about it is she is more fearful of her father than me. And I say all this so you guys understand. I genuinely feel like the parenting times are about to change. I feel like because the course, listen, I know myself and I know when I act and I know the reasons for why I act. I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. And it's very interesting to me how I went for custody in 2022. And primarily that was all about establishing equal custody. See, because I was homeless for a while, had to bounce back, and now equal custody, right? They did not give me equal custody. For whatever reason, these white people felt like they didn't want to give me equal custody. It was on them. Right? Because really, it's on them. There's no good reason to not give me more time with my child. There was no good reason. Now, with that being said, we fast forward a year. Okay. And let me be clear, the case. So, yeah, we fast forward a year. Oh, dad is having open heart surgery. Y'all mean to tell me that ain't God? Because the reality of the circumstance, it happened in such a timing. I've told you guys time and time again, if 2-3 years were to go by and I didn't have custody of my kid, I would not be planning a life with my kid. And there's a good reason for that. I'm not dealing with poor behavior that I cannot manage. I'm a little petite woman. I am not going to be fighting some kid that doesn't seem to get in line with the rules that I got in my house. My daughter is still a baby. And that's what I always wanted, was that she ain't a baby, okay? But she's still very well influenced, right? By me. Meaning that I feel like as long as my daughter admires me, right? Regardless of the attitude, regardless of the things that we're going to grow through as she gets older, as long as she admires me and looks up to me, because it's very obvious the kid looks up to me. It's not really a question. Right? And anybody who sees me interact with my child, you will see in her eyes that kid adores me. You understand me? Meaning that with young girls, and I want to be very clear, it's not just her, it's all little girls that seem to embark on me. Okay? They love me. I don't get it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm really the definition of a girl. Yes, I'm very strong, but I'm very much a girly girl. When they say rest in your femininity, that's all I know how to be. Okay. Okay. So, but I'm very strong. Like I'm very assertive. I'm very dominant in the sense that you're not going to run all over me. And it took a lot of work to get to where I'm at. Understand that. Because they told us as women there was never a balance between the two, but there is, right? So I got this little girl that looks up to me, and I need her to continue to look up to me in order for me to teach her, because the things she hasn't been taught certain things. And I feel like these things are very imperative. And unfortunately, with parents, parents are, I can talk to my child the way I talk to my child. I can treat her the way I want to treat her, but you can't. You see what I'm saying? And I tell my daughter this all the time. You're so shocked because I get so upset by certain items, things that your daddy would have laughed off, let go, whatever. But I genuinely feel like I'm raising this child. Like in my head, I have a mission and a duty and an obligation to my child to raise her to be the best person that she can possibly be. So it is my job not to be your friend. Let me be very clear. There's a balance between the two, because I long to be my daughter's best friend. And what I mean by that is I don't need friendship that bad, right? However, if anything was to go down with my child, I never want a situation where my daughter feels uncomfortable to tell me. Even when she disagrees with me, when she's mad at me, because children, let me be very clear, they react in ways that most parents would not want them to react if if they don't feel like they're able to speak their mind. That's number one. My daughter knows here she can speak her mind, but at the same time, she's learning that there's a fine line to it, right? If you're going to speak your mind and you're going to be in disagreement of me, that's fine. But you're going to do so respectfully. You see what I'm saying? Ain't no stomping off. Ain't no slamming doors in my motherfucking house. Like, I'm not a white parent. And I'm starting to realize some of these white parents ain't what we think they are either, in terms of they got just as much backbone as I do. I don't deal with kid attitudes, the rolling of the eyes, all that. Nah, little girl, you better go fix that. And so it is a culture shock for her. But I appreciate being given the opportunity, right, to be able to be there for her in a time where she needs it the most. And it's very interesting to me that I was told last year I could not do it, but God is like, fuck what they're saying. Let me tell you something. When something is meant to be, it will be. Ain't no law, ain't no courtroom, ain't no judge, ain't no white lady, ain't no white man, ain't nobody gonna be able to stop that shit. So God says, okay, if it ain't gonna happen this way, it's gonna happen this way. And y'all gotta understand something. That man, and I say that man right now because he pisses me off, but I really think about it. He did a lot. Him and his girlfriend lied a lot. They did a lot of things that integrity would not allow a person to do, right? And it's very interesting. Karma, let me tell you something. That man told me, oh, I'm going for open surgery. I said, okay. I ain't got no love for you, homie. You treated me like shit the entire time you was on this. I knew you. I had a goddamn baby by you, and you still treated me like shit for the sake of the old ass woman that's sitting right beside you. You think I give a fuck about open heart surgery for this motherfucker? No. And you can bet your bottom dollar I'm taking my kid in. Like I said, if she's in my care longer than 30 days, I'm going to go get my full custody. I'm not fucking playing with this man. You better figure it out, goddammit. Because there's no reason my kid should not be with me. And the only reason she's not with me is because of the division between the girlfriend and me. The girl who been with this man, my daughter is 10 and you still not fucking married, but you want to talk some shit about me. Okay, cool. Remember, my daughter's guardian is in the hospital, or he will be. He will be going through a surgery, you know, that really only extends his life. It doesn't mean that he's going to have a long life. It means it extends it if it's successful. And it might not even then extend his life. But it's funny how God, let me tell you, God does not play about me. And I've learned very long time ago, karma, and I mean a very long time ago, 'cause my mama raised me this way. It's not my job to get revenge. It's my job I do what I'm supposed to do, what God tells me to do. And if it doesn't work out, then God is going to find a different way. Let me tell you, when something is meant to be, the universe is going to find all avenues. God is going to find all avenues to make it happen for you. So that's where I'm at right now, y'all. And it's a weird feeling because, again, I was not expecting this to happen this soon. And like when I was talking to my colleagues, because of the type of surgery it is, I can expect to have my daughter a lot more. Even my daughter said it's very interesting because timing is everything, right? Because I was ready to walk away. It's very interesting how this shit is starting to happen right now, right? My daughter tells me the other day, yeah, mom, so you're going to start having me more. And she says it with excitement. I'm looking at her like, what the hell do you mean? Because I wasn't planning on having a kid more, right? I had already gotten over that dream. I was discouraged. I was like, fuck y'all. Y'all want to lie on me? I'm not fucking doing this shit no more. She goes, yeah, mom, you're going to be with me a lot more. I'm going to be with you a lot more because I'm starting to realize I want to be here more than I want to be there. This is what the kid says. Now, in a normal setting, my daughter would have been able to say that last year. My daughter is beginning to develop a backbone. She is really beginning to develop an opinion as to the circumstances, right? And she's really beginning to agree with the fact that, yeah, I probably should be with mom, if that makes sense. So I'm really excited, and I only share this story with you guys because let me tell you guys something, even when you don't understand, because the biggest thing for me was I had worked so hard to be able to get my daughter full custody, right? Never been on drugs, never have been legally accused of any sort of abuse. Like, I've been a part of my daughter's life, and I can't understand why. Okay, I was homeless for a year and a half. That's it. My daughter's 10. I still couldn't understand why I could not seek full custody of my kid. Okay, so Colorado's becoming a dad state. Fuck dads. No offense, but in this particular situation, I was better than dad. But I also recognize, okay, I didn't have the same mentality that I do now. So maybe it was in the best interest of the child for where the child is going. It has nothing to do with me, to have a strong sense of stability in her life early, because that's always in the best interest of any child. And it's very interesting timing that now that I'm fully, like, I got my salary, I'm financially stable as an individual, not me dating somebody and then paying me money. No, by myself, I'm financially stable. Now, all of a sudden, health problems are being had, right? To the point where my daughter has to be with me more. So it's very interesting timing. And I would like to play it out because I didn't understand why. I kept asking myself, why? Why is this happening to me? Why me? Only to see things play out the way that they are. So you guys, I'm going to do an update on this, and I may I believe I have my old videos, so I will upload them at some point so you guys understand where I was just last year versus where I'm headed. I'm really excited. Like I told you guys, everything happens for a reason. I'm nervous because as a mom, I've not had to have my daughter full time. And I'm thinking of not really the parenting itself, but the financial aspect of it. Like, golly, that's a whole nother body, a whole nother person to feed and clothe, which I already feed her. Now I got to spend more money to clothe her because things are going to get to a point where I have my style, right? I want her to dress a certain way. I know I'm going to be dealing with behavioral issues simply because I run a tighter ship than her dad, meaning that bad grades is not acceptable. I don't care what you say, you're going to sit down. Like I'm a no nonsense individual. So if you can imagine, I'm going to be 10 times more no nonsense with my daughter. And it's going to be a really huge shocker for her because she's coming from this grandparent grandchild dynamic to now mother and daughter dynamic, right? And this is the part that I kept on them. They need to be doing, holding the child accountable. When she's wrong, she's wrong. It's not your job to cater to the child. Like listen, I got my work cut out for me, okay? But I will say that my daughter is doing better. But I know that if she was placed in my care, it will be a very real culture shock for her. It's going to be a lot of nights of yelling, a lot of nights of disciplining. I'm going to really have to buckle down and get her up to speed with the level that I need her to be at. And like I said, I understand the average parent is like, oh, she's 10. But I know how I was raised at 10 years old. I know what my thought processes were at 10 years old. And I can tell you I was 10 times more mature than most of these kids at 10 years old than they are today. I'm not the typical parent. I still believe in spanking my child. And I believe that I have rules in my house. And if you cannot follow them, you got to go. Right? So my daughter is going to be coming from this spoiled, whatever you want, you can have, just stay out of my face. Children are meant to be, what is it? They're meant to be seen, not heard type shit. No. I'm really about to be on my daughter's ass. Okay. So I'm excited because I've always wanted this. That's what you guys understand. You know, I'm a parent and mommy deep down. Okay. But it's a mix of feelings because I'm so used to a life that I don't really have to be the full-time 24/7 mom. Like I'm not even close to that. And I love that life. I love it. But I also understand that a kid needs me and it's my child. And I'm more than capable of raising this child. I'm more than capable of teaching the child what she needs to be taught. In my opinion, more so than where she's at. So it's very interesting timing. I trust God on this. I'm just still trying to wrap my head around the fact that it's happened so suddenly. But other than that, you guys, like I said, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I know that I've had enough warning. Like, even if she doesn't end up being with me, for example, for the next 30 days, I know that in 6 months to a year, basically, this is my warning that my daughter will be in my care. And I better have all my shit together. Right. So I'm excited. Okay. I do believe that this was overdue. I do believe that everything happens in due timing. And if something's meant to be, just because of, I tell you guys this all the time. There are many solutions to one problem. It ain't just one or two solutions. It's an infinite amount of solutions to a problem. Your mind just may or may not be able to see it all yet, right? So meaning that I took the matters in my own, took everything in my own hands, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to court and I'm going to fight this. That was not necessarily God. That was me saying, I'm going to make this decision and I'm going to do this, and hoping that there was a good outcome. It didn't work. right? So now another solution is being presented. And unfortunately, I always knew that was the solution that was going to be presented. And now we're here. So I don't know what I feel about, you know, I don't have a real feeling right now, right? I'm excited, but I'm also like, dang, I'm a bit selfish, right? In my head, I've been able to be selfish. So I'm like, fudge, stressing out just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, not a lot, right? But also understanding this is what I asked for. And it's coming to me a hell of a lot sooner than what I expected. And I'll take it. I would rather have it the soonest than latest. So we'll see what happens, you guys. I'll keep you guys updated. Obviously, you guys know it's about to be a change because, again, I was never expecting my daughter full time. Like, my daughter's not even on my lease right now. I was never expecting her full time. And again, she'll only, what they say right now is she'll only be with me while he's in the hospital. But again, that kind of surgery makes me believe that it's going to be consistent, meaning that her dad, realistically, if we look at, all the different situations involved, he's really only got 10 years left. So it's very interesting timing, like you guys, like I said, very well aware that this may affect my daughter and have a hard, my daughter may react to it in certain ways, right? And being ready for whatever's to come, right? Because again, I did not expect this to happen as soon as it did. But I guess everything happens for a reason, and what will be is meant to be. It will be. What is meant to be will be. So that's all I got to say, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm out. Peace.